My name is Mary, and I am proud and thankful to be sitting here today as a breast cancer survivor of 21 years. I first knew that breast cancer would change my life pretty much the second I hung up the phone after speaking with my doctor. With tears in my eyes and a lump in my throat, my mind was reeling, thinking of all the things that I needed to do. Um, I needed to tell everybody first and foremost, and I knew that was going to be really hard. I needed to tell my husband and my children, my parents, my boss, my coworkers, my friends. I needed to get a second opinion. I needed to find a surgeon and an oncologist. I needed to do research to figure out my options and on and on. So I knew right away that this would be a big time change in my life. I was only 37 years old at that time, and I had a son who was 8 years old and a daughter who was 7. I was teaching at a community college, so things were pretty good. And this was not in my plan. But, as we all know, life doesn't always follow our plan. And somehow you dig down deep inside and find the strength to do what you have to do, and that's what I did. So, after a lumpectomy and 6 weeks of radiation and 9 months of chemotherapy, here I am. I'm very grateful to be here. I first knew that my life would change breast cancer also very early on. Um, I had to quickly do research and educate myself to figure out my options. And back then, this was a long time ago, remember, people didn't have computers in their homes. Doing research meant you went to the library and looked for books that were pretty non-existent. You could get literature from your doctor, or maybe go to the AMA, the Medical Association. Options were very limited back then. Things were very different, and it's hard to imagine life without Google now, but that's how it was. So in my research, I found a couple books that became my weapons, that truly empowered me and gave me a strategy and a model to fight this disease. And I knew then that I was going to be in control and I was going to be in charge, not the other way around. So what these books were about was basically the power of the mind, uh, going over things like meditation, visualization techniques, um, and power of positive thinking, and even the power of laughter. They were filled with amazing studies done in hospitals, um, of seriously ill patients with cancer and heart disease. And the studies showed that with positive thinking and even laughter, like they were given funny books, funny movies, and even visitors that would make them laugh, they were actually able to reduce or even eliminate their tumors. So this was huge for me. How easy is that? What a great weapon to have. It was so hopeful and encouraging and empowering. So that became my new strategy. Um, what that meant in my life was while I was lying there getting chemotherapy and radiation, I wasn't really on a cold metal table. I was lying on a white sandy beach in the Caribbean. Or I was up in the mountains, surrounded by huge, beautiful pine trees, blue sky, snow-capped peaks, sitting next to a mountain stream. Uh, those were just huge for me, and I can't recommend them enough for other people maybe going through this. Another thing I did back then, one of the very first video games was called Pac-Man, and they were kind of little faces that would run around gobbling things up. I assume it was gobbling up an enemy. I'm not being a video game player, I have no clue, but I imagine that's what it was doing. So when I was getting my treatments, I would imagine that there were little Pac-Men inside me racing around gobbling up each and every black cancer cell until it was all clean and clear and beautiful inside. So in those ways, my life changed breast cancer. Other ways, every year my family would get together and run the Race for the Cure in Golden Gate Park, and that was very meaningful for all of us. I've also donated lots of time, volunteering, and finances to fight this cause, fight this disease, and also helped other women after they have received the diagnosis to try and help them through some of the hard times. And here I am sitting here as the face of a 21-year breast cancer survivor. So I'm hoping to still fight this disease and have my life make a difference. I'm hoping that to bring encouragement to some of you who are maybe newly diagnosed and struggling through this, offering hope to you that you can fight this and you can beat this and you too can be a long-term survivor. Everybody needs hope, and sometimes when you're in the middle of things, it does get dark and discouraging, and it's hard to remember that. So I want to get that message out there. If you haven't already done so, please join Dr. Susan Love in the Army of Women. They are doing incredible things. She is our premier pioneer breast cancer researcher of our time, and they are doing incredible studies. They need all the people they can get. So tell everyone you know, if you haven't joined, they need your help. Everybody should be joining that. They are our biggest hope right now to find the cause and the cure of this disease. So no more women will have to go through this nightmare. So please join them, support them. Thanks for listening to my story and for joining in this important cause.